Hi there everybody, and welcome to another video. In today's video I'm going to be changing the water pump and the thermostat on this Toyota Prius 2014, and there's two reasons I'm changing the water pump and the thermostat housing. And one is because it is leaking a small amount of coolant from the thermostat, and also my water pump has a fault code. So basically the other day the engine light came on, and on checking I had a fault code related to the water pump which said it had malfunction. Apparently it's a common fault. However, it is an expensive common fault because that water pump from Toyota is somewhere like £500. The thermostat I'm actually getting from somewhere else is around £50. I think you can get that water pump from somewhere else, but I mean from other websites, and a little bit cheaper. So yeah, if you have a problem that relates to that water pump, just make sure it is a faulty water pump. Right, so in this video I'm not going into technical about it. I'm just going to show you how you can replace them both. It's a fairly simple process, and I've have everything loosed here already to remove it quite easily, because it is easily. So you need a 10mm socket and a 12mm socket for the water pump. And so I'm going to start by, I've loosened this 10mm here, and if we open these clamps here, you can actually take this cover out. You can actually just take it out and remove it out of there. Also, actually before, we just want to lift this cover up. This cover is just plugged in. Take that cover out to one side, then take this other cover up. You can disconnect this sensor if you want to, but I prefer sometimes not to disconnect electrical parts if I can avoid it. So just putting that to one side. Although usually with Toyotas it's okay, it's mainly with German cars that you unplug something and then something else go wrong. Anyway, so then we have these 3 10mm bolts, 1, 2, and 3 here. Take those 3 out, and then this whole thing will become loose, and then you have another 2 here, so you have 1 there and 1 here. So if we undo those, you can then remove this entire cover. Just have to move this hose a little bit out of the way here. It's sort of mounted on there, and then this will you have to pull it up a little bit, so then we can try to wiggle this out of here. Like so. A little bit easier for me because I already loosened everything. We then have access to the water pump, which is sitting right here, and the thermostat housing, which is sitting just in the back. So the water pump is held in by these 12mm bolts, which again I already loosened them. Just gonna take one out and show you. And we have some short ones and some longer ones. This is an electric pump, so that's a 12mm, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these. Now there is one sitting at the bottom which you might be able to get from underneath. I think you can get it from here, but it's a little bit tricky, so I'm actually gonna undo it from underneath. And a little tip, I used my big ratchet here with that little extension to undo the bolts. But once you crack them open, I use this little ratchet with a 13mm which is a lot easier to maneuver and undo the bolts. Just a tip. Otherwise, with your long ratchet, you are trying to undo within this little space and it takes a while. So I'm gonna get the car up and we're gonna undo that other bolt from underneath, and then we also have to remove the thermostat housing here. I think these are 10mm nuts, and I think there is 3 of them. So there are 2 hoses connected to this, and we may have to maneuver ourselves a little bit around here to disconnect that. But I'm just going to take the pump out first, and all the coolant will come out. So I'm not really draining the coolant via any other means. I'm just gonna pop this open a little bit and let the coolant run out. So make sure you have a bucket underneath. But let's undo the bolt underneath first. Just before I get the car up, let me show you where the minor leak is. So that's where it's kind of leaking from. You can just about see that pink formation there from the coolant that is sort of coming out slowly, and it's kind of drying as it comes out, but you can just see it there. So it's a minor leak, but it is leaking. So to get access to the water pump from down here, you need to remove a cover, which is that cover there, and that cover is held in by 6 10mm bolts and all these little clips. So this push type of push clip, you sort of remove the center, and well, you don't remove the center, you just pull it out with something like this. Pull the center out and then remove the pin, and then you can get that out of the way. You then have access to the water pump, which is just up there. Just get a light. So I'm just gonna get my tool on there. That's the water pump there. I'm gonna get my ratchet on it and then you can see it better. Okay, I've got my ratchet there. So that's the bolt that we want to loose. Right, I've loosened all the bolts and I removed the 2 bottom ones. I'm just going to open that pump a little bit with my screwdriver here, and probably most likely the coolant is going to start coming out like a cascade. So just make sure you have something to catch the coolant, and also make sure you're doing the job when the car is cold, or at least not hot, because you can obviously burn yourself pretty badly if it's really hot. Right. I'm gonna try to just open it a little bit. Pretty sure I've loosened all the bolts. Right, there's a bolt that I didn't loosen enough, so that's why I can't quite open the pump right now. But I just wanted to say I'm gonna lower the car to loosen that bolt. You can remove the wheel and this cover here to access the pump as well, and the bolts. I just didn't do it because I removed the bottom one here, because also whatever coolant drops out of there I don't want it to just go all over that plate. So there's different options here. Just before I remove that bolt, I'm gonna disconnect this pump. Just have to press, basically have to press this. Okay, you definitely have to press this clip around the back here. Press it quite hard so you can take this out, basically. And there's our pump. That's the new one there, with a new gasket. That's the box. And that's the part number. Right, so next, gonna remove the thermostat. So this here is a 10mm, and there are 3 of those that we need to remove. So I already cracked that one open. With a tool like this, we're gonna wanna get this clamp and take it out. And we want to remove that hose. And then we have the little hose at the back. With the big hose out of the way, you can actually access this 10mm here. But before I get carried away with that, we want to loosen this 12mm bolt here, and the other 12mm that is sitting just there. That holds the dipstick in place. So if you loosen this one a little bit, you'll be able to push this sort of dipstick out of the way, and then you can actually loosen that other one, that other 12mm, with an extension. You can undo that one. Oops. If you drop it, try to find it. Okay, this dipstick, we might be able to just pull it out. It's just because it's kind of interfering a little bit with the hose of the thermostat. Or we might be able to, if we don't really want to disturb it, maybe just be able to get it out of the way a little bit. The clamp for the other hose is just sitting behind this dipstick. That's why we want a little bit of room. Okay, the dipstick does come out. You just need to be a little bit persistent, sort of wiggle it around like this while you hold it from here and pull it out, and it will come out. And this cable here, this little thing that's just plugged in the side there, so you just need to release it. You can then get this dipstick out a little bit. We can then hopefully, although I already moved that hose a little bit, but it'll be a lot easier to do it now. Right, get that clamp back. And then you may want to use something like this. Push that hose out. Okay, that hose is out. And now we need to tackle the other 10mm, which is sitting sort of in line with that hose, with that pipe. Okay, I can't really show you the bolt that's showing underneath the thermostat. I've got my a long extension with my small ratchet and a 10mm all the way from the back here. So you have to feel it. You have to feel it with your finger from the back here. You need to feel the bolt, and then you need to align. The tool is going to be the only way to do that. So hopefully I've got it. And it shouldn't really be tight, obviously. It's just in fact, it's not tight at all. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do. I've already loosened it. I just need to remove it now. Now I can show you, now that it's out, a little bolt. It's that one there. Yep. Now we can remove the thermostat housing. Hopefully with your ring on it. Okay. So there's our thermostat. You can see it was kind of leaking a little bit from the bottom there and zipping out through the bolt. So what we want to do now is, before we fit the new parts, just want to clean the surface of the water pump area here, and also clean the surface of the thermostat area here, because there's going to be obviously accumulation of coolant around it. So you just want to make sure it's nice and clean before fitting your new parts. I may use some emery paper to clean it. And also, when you fit the new one with a new O-ring, I usually put a little bit of grease around the O-ring so the O-ring can sit, sort of accommodate properly. I do the same with the water pump. I just put a little bit of multi-purpose grease around it. But that's really pretty much it. But I'm gonna go ahead and clean those surfaces, and I am waiting for my thermostat to come. And then the refitting will be sort of the reversal of removal, with the exception of the bolts that we need to tighten are so the water pump bolts, we have these long ones, 2 of those and 3 of these. These little ones are tightened to, from what I was looking at the technical data, 20 Newton meters, and this one was about 25 Newton meters. While I wait for my thermostat, I'm going to fit my water pump back in, and you can see in this diagram showing you these bolts here, 2 of those longer bolts, 3 of these shorter bolts. It says here 26 Newton meters actually, and that one 21, or 260 kgf per centimeter, or 19 foot-pound. And the shorter ones are 21 Newton meters, or 214. 214 kgf per centimeter, or 15 foot-pound. Here's the new pump. There's my O-ring, and I put a little bit of multi-purpose grease around it. Okay, got my torque wrench. So the 2 longer bolts, 26 Newton meters, the other 3 20 or 21. And I'm going to do the bottom one from underneath. But if you were only changing the water pump, that's pretty much it. You're pretty much done, and then you have to just plug that in there. Obviously, plug that in, and obviously torque the bolt at the bottom, and then you have to fill some coolant. So in terms of doing the water pump, it's a fairly simple and quick job. I still have to finish the thermostat here, and so I will continue with that. But as I said, if you were only doing the water pump, that's pretty much it. Okay, got my new thermostat, ATH1227 thermostat from APEC, whatever you call it. And again, there's the little O-ring. I'm gonna put a little bit of multi-purpose grease around that, and pretty sure you clean the surface where the thermostat sits, and fit our new thermostat. Some bolt. I was checking again the torque setting, and it says 10 Newton meters. So I have my torque wrench here set to 10, and I'm going to try to go from the back here and tighten those to the required torque. Okay, that's 10. Try to do this up here. That is the next one. And then we have to go to the one at the back. Okay, that is 10. Now we need to get the hoses back in. I will just spray a bit of WD-40 on top of where the hoses go. That's gonna make it a lot easier to slide in. That is almost in, but not quite. Okay, that is in now. And I'm also going to spray WD-40 on top of that hose. Because that really helps the clamp slide onto the top. Okay. That's it. Okay, you may notice that there is an orange painting on the hose, so you want to have the clamp on top of that orange. Well, it's kind of a guide, I think, more than anything else. Now we can get our dipstick in. There is an O-ring on this dipstick. Again, I'm gonna spray a bit of WD-40, put a bit of grease on it. That's gonna make it easier pushing this into there. Okay, it's in the hole, and now just want to push that. Right, that is in. Now we can connect this clip into there. So your dipstick has to go in properly, because otherwise you won't be able to put your 12 mil on this where you removed it from here. That holds it there. Just gonna have to secure that, and also obviously we're gonna put this one as well. You have to hook it in there. That's all. Okay, that's nice and secure. Dipstick is working fine, and water pump is plugged in. So now all is left to do is start reconnecting whatever came out of there. Obviously our air filter and the box that comes in here. Right, that pretty much concludes our job, unless you've forgotten your light down there. So I'm just gonna have to get it out. Right, managed to get the light out without having to dismantle the entire car. And now we're gonna have to add some coolant here and sort of get the system running. So I'm just gonna prepare my coolant so I can top that up. Okay, so I'm just topping up some coolant I've got here ready mixed. I already put a couple of liters in there and it's all gone in. So I'm gonna top it up again before we get the car running. So I've already mixed this coolant, which I got concentrated. And you want to mix it obviously according to where you live. If you're in the North Pole, you want to use more antifreeze. If you're in the Sahara Desert, you want to use less antifreeze. If you're in London, maybe 50-50. Okay, that's full. It's at the moment it's at the full line mark is this part here, and then just below that you have the minimum. Okay, I've got some coolant. I'm gonna get the car started. And when I get it running until we get hot air coming out of here, and that way we know there's no bubbles in the system. So I'm gonna switch this on to hot. Just put it on auto and put it on high. I don't need the AC on really, but where's the blower in this? Right here. Okay, so at the moment it's blowing mostly cold air. I'm gonna wait until it warms up, and obviously we can check that there ain't any coolant leaks. And also we want to monitor the system, just make sure that doesn't run out of coolant. So I put about I guess I put about 3.5 liters. It's more or less what came out. So I'm just gonna let it warm up and monitor that there isn't any coolant leaking from the places that we replaced. By the way, this is the antifreeze that I'm using. That's my supplier brought today. And usually this is concentrated, so I have to mix it. Okay, I think the rest of this goes without saying. You can see there's coolant coming through this pipe and recirculating there. That means our pump is working. You can just about see it. Well, you can't quite see it, but I can. Already there. You can see that coolant is going in there. And the coolant is gone down a little bit. It's just at the minimum. So obviously monitor and top up as required. And also I have hot air coming out of these vents now. So that means there's no air bubbles in our matrix. Our matrix is running well. I mean, not running well, but it's running, the coolant is running through the matrix without air bubbles, and we have nice hot air coming in here. So the car has been running by itself all this time because it needs to get the temperature up to the high where I want it, and obviously it has to warm up the engine, and at the same time it's sort of bleeding the system. There are no malfunctions, no lights or nothing, and obviously in my case scenario the last thing I'm going to do is, well, I already did, is just check the system, make sure there's no faults in the system after the job we've done. But as you can see, I need to top up a little bit of coolant, and as far as it goes, everything has gone well. So having said that, I hope the video helps. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you all in the next video. So thank you for watching.